Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is yearn, and this verb was suggested by the viewer Luis. Luis, thank you for making another suggestion. Now let's take a moment and review the definition of this verb. The main way you'll hear the verb yearn used means to have an intense feeling of longing for something. And generally, that intense feeling is coming from the fact that you're either intentionally sort of separated from that thing that you want or that you missed, or maybe that thing has been lost. So it's not just, I want this thing and I'll go get it, or I'll be connected to it or be in its presence, but generally something is causing that greater distance. For now, you should know that yearn is a regular verb. If you want to make the progressive form of this verb, all you need to do is add ing, and that forms yearning. The past tense and the participle form of our verb can be made by adding ed. The base verb, yearn, ends with a voiced end sound. This means our ed ending is just going to make a d sound, and we're not going to add an extra syllable when we say it. The past tense and the participle form of our verb should sound like this: yearned, yearned. Now, let's take a moment and review a few phrasal verbs. I think there are two you could possibly encounter as you're reading or listening to others. The first is to yearn for. The meaning here is very similar to what we just discussed. So you're having this intense, deep-seated longing or desire either for someone or for something. And again, usually there's some type of separation that is causing one to sort of really miss and desire that thing or person. So, an example of this: she has yearned for life in the big city since she moved to her husband's family farm. So this person, right, maybe spent her life living in a really bustling, busy place. Now she lives in a quieter, maybe more rural area, and she really misses that other environment. Now, a second phrasal verb you might encounter is to yearn over. Again, similar meaning here. We're having some sort of strong and deep-seated, but here maybe sympathy for someone or something. Okay, so an example of this: he can't volunteer at the animal shelter because he'll just yearn over every single creature. So here we maybe have a very kind, emotional person who are saying, oh, this just might not be a good environment, right? This person's going to feel bad, maybe want to take all of the animals home with him because he doesn't want to see a pet without a family or without a home, or maybe a pet not being well taken care of or something of that nature, right? So they're going to have this really intense sympathy and compassion for other creatures. Now, let's continue using our verb of the day, and we'll practice it in a couple different verb tenses. Today, we'll go over the present perfect progressive and the simple future. Let's start with the present perfect progressive. When we use this verb tense, we're really focusing on an action that has started in the past, continues into the present, and may even continue into the future. Generally, our focus is on how long that particular action has been ongoing or how long it has been continuing. Now, many teachers and textbooks refer to this as the present perfect continuous, and that's just fine. It means exactly the same thing. I like saying present perfect progressive with my students because the 3 P's can help you remember you will need 3 parts to make this verb tense. And this is a verb tense where we need to pay attention to our subject. If our subject is I, you, we, or they, our first part of our verb is going to be have. The second part is been, that participle, B-E-E-N. And then the third part is the ing form of the verb. Now, if your subject is he, she, or it, we'll go has, been, and then the ing form of the verb. Here's an example. She has been yearning for the African soups her grandmother used to make. So here, while we don't exactly have a time period here, we know this is a really strong desire that started in the past and is still continuing. Maybe this person is living somewhere where she's not able to find all the ingredients she needs to make the soups. There are no restaurants that serve it or serve something that's close or similar enough to what her grandmother used to make. Now, if you want to make a negative present perfect progressive sentence, again, pay attention to that subject. The subject will influence whether you use have or has. Then you want to insert not. That comes before the participle been and then the ing form of the verb. Here's another example. Consumers haven't been yearning for a beverage circulating through their clothing. I saw a sentence rather similar to this, discussing some odd products that were being developed, and this article was a little critical of some of these. So here, what they're trying to say is nobody's asking for this particular product, yet someone still had this idea and is trying to manufacture it and sell it to people. I think it was like a really puffy jacket, and then I'm not sure exactly why they were encouraging people to wear it in the summer and then have like a cool or cold beverage that could kind of like, circulate with like a straw that comes up from people. But anyway, that was someone's particular idea. Now let's talk about making a yes or no question in the present perfect progressive. To do this, start with have or has. Whichever form matches your subject, that subject comes next. Then use the participle been and then the ing form the verb. Here's another example. Have you been yearning to get back to the beach? Right? So maybe people are talking about vacation plans for the summer, kind of thinking about, someone is asking, right? Do you have this strong feeling, this strong desire? Particularly if you aren't someone who lives near a beach or one who isn't able to travel very easily to that kind of location. Now let's move on and talk a little bit about the simple future. Today we're going to make sentences with will. Will is most commonly used as people make predictions and promises. Occasionally we'll see it as they discuss their plans for the future as well. We can also see it with offers. I shouldn't leave that out either. But the nice thing about making sentences in the simple future is that our pattern or our structure to the sentences will stay the same no matter what our subject is. So in the affirmative, we'll start with the subject, we'll use will, and then the base verb. So no special endings, no special suffixes with our verb in this tense. Here's an example. Perhaps I will yearn for home. I saw a sentence very similar to this in some literature. I think it was a story, and a particular character was speaking. This character wanted to move to some other place. His family was very worried, and this person is making maybe a slight prediction here. Perhaps it's kind of like saying maybe. I will have this feeling. But I think the character went on to say, of course, I've got to do this. Younger person kind of wanting to pursue his dreams. Now let's look at making negative simple future sentences. To do this, again, start with your subject, use will not, and then the base verb. You might also encounter the contraction will not or won't for that. You can see that in my example here. Once I get this job, I won't yearn to crawl out of my skin. Again, I saw a comment very similar to this. Someone who was very deeply unhappy in their job, didn't feel pride in what they were doing, and so they were making this comment that, right, once I have something different, this feeling will go away. Now let's look at making a yes or no question in the simple future. To do this, we start with will, then we'll have our subject, and then the base verb. Here's another example. Will people yearn to visit this destination? So this is a question many people have asked about space travel. If this becomes more common and more available to people, are people going to want to pay for short or longer term visits into space? We shall see. Now let's spend a moment and talk about some words that are related to our verb yearn. And the first word we'll discuss is the noun yearning. This noun refers to a feeling of intense longing for something. And again, this usually connects to there's been some type of separation. So, an example of this, it seems they have a yearning to start a family. So here, kind of a deep interest. Maybe this particular couple has been trying to start a family. They might be experiencing some challenges, or they've been trying to adopt and they haven't been successfully matched with a child, right? Could be so many different reasons that it hasn't quite happened for them yet, but they still have this strong, intense feeling. Yearning can also be an adjective. And when we use this word to describe a noun, we're talking about involving or expressing that intense longing or that intense feeling. So an example of this might be, the band's new song evokes aching loneliness and yearning hope. Right? So I saw lots of examples of this word yearning used in various reviews of music and art. I think it really captures that strong feeling that people have when they miss or desire something. Actually takes us to our next word. It's the adverb yearningly. So we added that ly suffix. That's generally going to be an adverb in English. And when we use this as an adverb, we're describing something that's done in a way that expresses strong and often emotional desires or longings for something. An example of this. The singer's voice is one of the most yearningly emotive instruments of our times. So, this was a particular reviewer describing how someone performs. This was certainly meant to be a compliment to the person, that the person's voice can sort of convey this strong desire or strong longing either for someone or something. Again, I want to say, and I forgot, I'm so sorry, I forgot one more word. It's the adjective yearnful. This adjective can describe something that has been filled with or something that is expressing a strong desire or longing. So, an example of this, again, all connected to music. That's where I was seeing a lot of examples of this. The singer filled the room with yearnful warblings. So again, we can kind of imagine someone having sort of these strong desires, strong emotions coming through in the way that they perform particular music. Now, I'll say a special thanks to Louise for suggesting today's verb, and I thank you all for watching. Have a great day.